So, good day everyone. This will be the prelim discussion for proximate analysis and moisture content determination. Actually, this presentation is used and prepared by Dr. Sherry Lozelbi Areola. So, hihiramin lang natin yung kanyang presentation. So, ang ating samples for proximate analysis can range from various samples just like leafy vegetables, animal feeds, instant noodles, chips, and biscuits. So, ito yung mga pwedeng sample na mapunta sa inyo. And ang sample preparation and determination of various test parameters will be dependent on the nature of your sample. So, later on, we will discuss that. So, yung ating assignment of samples will be the one as posted in your course site. Okay? So, ang ating sample preparation, if you got sample na fresh fruits or vegetables, so this will be the process on how you prepare your sample. So, first, you have to wash it with tap water. So, lilinisin lang natin. Then, next is i-wash natin with distilled water para free of contaminants from the tap water. And then, idadap nyo lang siya with tissue paper just to remove the excess amount of water na naka-adhere sa surface ng ating samples. Then, next is we have to slice it and cut it into smaller pieces. Then, tsaka natin siya i-weigh. And yung weight na yon will be the fresh weight of your sample. So, after you have determined the weight of your fresh weight, next natin is i-air dry lang natin siya. So, your air drying, usually, tumatagal yan ng weeks, no? Then, actually, days lang pala, days. Then, after nyo madry yung inyong sample, i-determine na natin yung kanyang air-dried weight or yung air-dried sample natin na i-weigh na natin. Then, after you have determined the weight of your air-dried sample, isa-subject na natin yung ating sample to Wiley Miller to grind it. And then, i-homogenize natin yung sample by sieving it using 20 mesh. And iso-store natin siya in appropriate condition. Then, the next preparation naman, if hindi naman leafy or vegetables yung nakuha ninyo, so dry lang yung inyong sample. So, as received yun. Okay? And then, what you're gonna do next is yung sample nyo na yun ay i-grind nyo using Wiley Miller or by using mortar and pestle. So, kapag ground na yung inyong or homogenized na inyong sample, you will pass it through the 20 mesh sieve so that mas homogenize yung itsura ng ating sample before subjecting it to different test parameters. And you will store your sample in appropriate conditions. So, ang ating grinding of dry matter can be used by or can be conducted by hammer mills. So, yung hammer mills natin ay for fine grinding and it is used for control fineness. So, meron tayong screen or sieves involved in here. And it is used for reasonably dry materials. Okay? And usually, yung foods na ground ay ginagrind natin after nating mag-dry. Okay? So, either by air drying or by oven drying. So, oven drying, ang temperature nan ay crucial. Dapat 40 to 60 lang as to remove the moisture na pwedeng matanggal from your sample from the atmosphere. Okay? Then, ang meron tayo sa IC ay yung Wiley Miller or yung Wiley Mill. So, by Wiley, it refers to a specific group of grinding mills manufactured by Thomas Scientific and is their registered trademark. So, sa IC, meron tayong ganito, yung maliit na version. And after we have subjected our sample for grinding in Wiley Mill, isa-save na natin siya using our mesh. Okay? So, we have the factor of particle size in our samples. So, sieving or screening is a method of categorizing a powder's particle size by running the powder through a specific sized screen. So, you can actually encounter 16 mesh, 6 mesh, or 3 mesh. Okay? Kapag lumalaki yung value ng mesh natin, mas nagiging masinsin yung area na meron tayo dun sa mesh. Unlike dito sa 3, medyo malaki pa. So, yung mga malalaking particle size makakapass through pa dito. Unlike sa 16, no, medyo maliit na to. So, for your sample, you should let it pass through 20 mesh. Okay? So, ito yung ating example ng mesh. So, may mga samples tayong mini-mesh before natin siya is-subject to tests as part of sample preparation. So, ito yung ating table for reference. So, the measure of how many openings there are per linear inch in a screen. Okay? So, habang lumalaki yung value ng mesh, mas nagiging masinsin. Okay? So, for your proximate analysis, it refers to the analysis of the total content of a food component. So, yung ating food actually ay subdivided into several parts. So, later on, discuss natin yon, and the tests that must be done to determine it will be explored here in our proximate analysis. So, these are the components. We have moisture content, which is your exercise 7. We have the ash determination, crude protein, crude fat, crude fiber, and nitrogen-free extracts. But then we have modified the procedure in our Chem 131 na yung ating ash component will be determined from the moisture content sample, and yung ating crude fiber will be determined from the resulting product in crude fat determination. So in our exercise 7, it is about moisture content determination. So these are the following methods that you can employ, no? But the method that will be using here is the convection oven method. So gamit tayo ng air oven. Okay? So in our sample, pwede tayong gumamit ng pan. So ang pan natin should be around 5.5 cm in diameter with an insert cover. Okay? So itong pan na to, actually nakagamit ako nito from nung nag-work pa ako sa pharmaceutical industry. So ang gagawin lang dito is i-insert or ilalagay yung sample of a specified amount dun sa pan. Then isa-subject siya dito sa ating heater. Then on a specified time, actually kapag tumunog na siya, ibig sabihin, na-reach na yung constant temperature or constant weight rather, na na-loss na nga yung moisture na present dun sa sample. So, relatively mabilis to, no? Parang around 2 to 5 minutes meron ka ng result. So, yun, gamit yon from the samples from pharmaceutical aspect. Pero yung ating sample ngayon ay foods and feeds, so medyo fresh yun, no? So, kailangan nating gumamit ng ibang methods. Actually, pwede rin to, pero wala tayong ganito sa IC. Kaya yung available na method yung gagamitin natin. So, what we have is convection oven. So, by convection, it is one of the common oven used in food analysis. And bakit siya common? Because this is relatively inexpensive. Okay? So, ang drawback lang nito is yung air circulation dito ay mabagal. So, by mabagal, meaning hindi pare-parehas yung temperature, apparent temperature sa bawat region ng ating oven. So, ang nangyayari dito is meron kang 10 degrees temperature differential across the oven. So, ibig sabihin yung temperature na malapit sa may cover may be different from the temperature nandun sa likod sa baba. Parang ganon. Next is the forced draft oven. So, ang forced draft, meron kayong involvement of fan sa loob. So, meron kayong circulation of air within the oven. And your circulation ng air produces the least temperature differential across the interior of your oven. So, kung yung temperature dito sa taas, probably same lang yung temperature dito sa baba. Pag forced draft oven. For vacuum oven, this is the standard AOAC method for various foods. So, it applies the reduction of pressure so that yung temperature natin ay below 100 degrees, which is below 70 degrees pa dito. Pero, relatively lower or slower siya yung operation time niya compared to others. Okay? So based from your moisture content level, the expression of the result can be varying, no? Kapag sa fresh sample, i-air dry niyo muna siya, then you have the air dried sample, then your air dried sample you will be subjected for oven drying, then you'll have the oven dried sample. Kapag naman hindi fresh yung inyong sample, for example, biscuits or mga junk foods natin, so as received sample yon. Kung ano yung sample nyo as received, yun yung isa-subject natin for oven drying. Unlike yung fresh, kailangan pa natin i-air dry before natin siya i-subject to oven drying. So, the next part, after yung ma-determine yung moisture content, the oven-dried sample will now be subjected to crude protein determination. So, kapag in-express nyo na yung value ninyo for crude protein, dapat makita natin to, no? It must be expressed as crude protein MFB. Ang MFB ay moisture-free basis. Ibig sabihin, yung sample nyo na sinobject for crude protein determination ay wala ng moisture. Okay? Otherwise, kapag sinobject kayo yung sample nyo na fresh, so hindi siya dumaan sa oven drying, hindi siya dumaan sa air drying, so wala na kayong kailangan na isulat na MFB. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya moisture-free. Pero since sa setup natin sa CHEM 131, what we're gonna do is, yung oven-dried sample natin will be the one to be subjected in crude protein determination. And hence, your crude protein should be expressed as crude protein sub MFB. Okay? Then, yung ating oven-dried sample then will be subjected to the crude fat. So, yung ating starting material for crude fat should be oven-dried. So, kapag oven-dried yung ating sample, ang expression ng crude fat should also be crude fat MFB. Okay? By MFB, ibig sabihin yung crude fat value na yon ay moisture-free basis. And then, yung ating resulting substance after you have done crude fat determination will be subjected to crude fiber determination. So, by crude fiber, ibig sabihin, natanggal mo na yung fat doon kasi na-determine mo na siya. Then, initially, tanggal na rin yung moisture nun. That's why, the expression of your crude fat should be crude fiber, the expression of crude fiber should be crude fiber sub MF, FFB. So, bakit ganito? Because, yung crude fiber natin na ipapresent in your post-lab report should be moisture-free and fat-free basis. Then, for the calculations of your moisture content using oven drying methods, so this will be the formula to be used. So, weight per weight lang to. So, percent lang ito. So, this must be the amount of water divided by the weight of your sample multiplied to 100. So, yung moisture content natin ay weight of your evap dish plus sample before drying. So, naka-ano yan, no? Naka-parenthesis yan. Minus the weight of the evap dish plus sample before drying. Open parenthesis ulit. All over, weight of evap dish plus sample before drying. Okay? Then, ang total solids naman will be determined by using the formula 100 minus percent moisture content. Okay? Kasi ang total solids plus moisture content ay equal sa 100. Alright? So, for the calculations of moisture content, again, kapag ang napunta sa inyong sample ay fruits or vegetables, dapat this should be expressed as fresh weight basis. So, meron kang moisture content na fresh weight basis and meron kang moisture content na air-dried basis. For dry samples naman, ang kailangan nyo lang i-express ay as received basis or ARB. Okay? So, for other proximates, so ito ay moisture lang, no? So, for other proximates, for example, nag-conduct na tayo ng crude protein. So, meron tayong crude protein. So, dapat meron kayong value ng crude protein na FWB, meron kang percent crude protein na air-dried basis, and meron ka ding percent ng crude protein na moisture-free basis if your sample is fruits or vegetables. Kapag naman dry sample, sa next ninyong pre-lab report no, for crude protein, dapat meron kayong tables for the calculation of crude protein as received basis and percent crude protein na moisture-free basis. Okay? I think this ends the presentation for your pre-lab discussion for moisture content determination. Again, you just need to look for your assignment ng sample sa ating course site. So, if wala nang question, kung may question man, you have to raise it sa ating Google chat. Alright? So, thank you for listening.